The Lord put the Spirit on us to put that lunar Sabbath breakdown out. The Lord put the Spirit on us to put that lunar Sabbath breakdown out.
That when the Romans took over Jerusalem, we'll go into that too. When the Romans took over Jerusalem, now when they conquered us, I'm going to show you when they conquered us, that they not only did they impose rulership over us, but they also imposed upon us a new calendar. They said, from now on, you will not keep your calendar anymore. You're going to keep our calendar. They're both of them, the new moon and the 7-day Sabbath, are Sabbaths. And they're both of them, the new moon and the 7-day Sabbath, are Sabbaths.
This type of doctrine will lead you to hell, to the hellfire. I'm telling you.
My God.
Wait, hold on. Do they really believe in hell?
Deacon, I thought you were like exaggerating. I didn't know they literally said that. Oh my.
Yeah, I don't know. I did hear a couple of camps say IUIC believes in hell.
Doesn't make sense. But when you follow Esau, you teach and repeat stupidity and confusion.
There are two parts to the Sabbath command. The first part is that we work for 6 days, and the second part is that we rest on the seventh day. This is an uninterrupted cycle, but the lunar Sabbath creates an interruption in the pattern every single month. There's 1 week at the beginning of the month where you work more than 6 days, and there's 1 week at the end of the month when you work less than 6 days. The fact is, there's not a single verse in the entire Bible that tells us to base the Sabbath on the moon. But I actually found some very interesting evidence that the Babylonians did keep a lunar Sabbath. The Babylonians appear to have observed a Sabbath on every seventh day of the lunar month.
Oh, wait, stop. Now we're getting to the bottom of where it comes from. The Babylonians appeared to have observed the Sabbath day on every seventh day of the lunar month. And be not thou the oppressor goes back to Esau trying to criticize the Bible. Lunatic Sabbath, Esau came up with that. But when you follow Esau, you teach and repeat stupidity and confusion. But when you follow Esau, you teach and repeat stupidity and confusion.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Recha Hakwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you other brethren, your other elders and brethren, you fellow believers of this truth, and shalom to the elect. So anyway, I want to go on another edition of the new moon, full moon, right? I was going to leave it alone, but something had it. A couple days I was thinking about it, and then I went back over the video, a little bit of what he said, and he admits that it was the new moon was the Sabbaths, right? But now you have a new calendar or something like that. But he's also bringing the fact out that everyone believes that a full moon is a new moon, right? So I don't get that. I know a lot of us in the know better, but it's like when you eat and you get full, you know, it's completed, right? You're no longer hungry. When you're ready to eat, your stomach is hungry, you want to eat. That's when it's new. That's when you're ready to get food into your stomach. And then it fills, and that's why it's called full. You're full at the time. Your gas tank, it starts, you start off with an empty tank and you go to fill it up. It's full. But I guess their ideology is the fact that it starts off full as new, right? And that's absolutely false. And this is a doctrine that's been going out. Some different people are now pushing that doctrine. I just Googled something, it's Google is not always 100% correct, but I'm just going on what I pulled something up. It says the full moon is considered a complete moon. I wanted to bring that out. Yes, the full moon is considered a complete moon, right? When something is completed, there's no way it's new. There's no way something that's completed is new. Now, to get technical, it reached its apex, which goes to this highest point, and then, which means it's completed what it started out to do. Then it has the full completion when it finishes. Okay, when it wanes, meaning diminishing. So we're going to go back to Leviticus 23:5. It says, in the 14th day and the first month at even is the Lord's Passover, which I went over this before. It says here, the usage, the Hebrew word Areb, right, primarily refers to the time and day known as evening, right? So hold on to that. Marking the transition from daylight to darkness. It is often used in the context of the daily cycle, signifying the end of the day and the beginning of the new one, according to the Hebrew reckoning of time, which starts at sunset. So now everybody has a problem, and this is where the killer going to come. This is where the problem going to come. All right, everybody has a problem when we say the new moon starts off dark because it's new, right? And they say, no, the full moon, it's full, so now that's new. But everybody celebrates their Sabbaths from sundown to sundown. Now, why would it be sundown? Right? To coming into the new day. Dark. Even on all the other calendars, right? Which most calendars kind of derive off of some form of solar or lunar cycle, right? What I was reading. You had the Julian calendar, about 45 BC, which came off the solar, right? You also have the full moon that some people, with ancient witchcraft, that they use the full moon for. You'll see it in movies where people turn to werewolves because people are wilder during that time of the full moon in its cycle, right? Just like a woman will have her cycle, not meaning to be graphic, she may spot a little bit, and then she'll fully come on to her period. This is why it's called monthly, which monthly goes to moon, you know. So the new moon is considered, the full moon is considered a complete moon. There's no way it's new if it's completed, right? It says here, many cultures reverent, right, the moon as a deity, associating the full moon with fertility, rebirth, spiritual power, leading to special rituals and ceremonies during the full moon nights, right? And this is clear. Now they will say, well, they've always taken something that was righteous and turned it wicked, which is true. But what we're saying is the holy day that's set up by the Lord is going to be different from what they do. Okay, so we can clearly see, we can get an example of Jeremiah 10, we get ready coming to Christmas, so-called, or Christ Mass, right? That's what it is, the death of Yahushua. It says, hear ye the words of the Lord that speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. Now, I'm going back now, because now this man, Deacon Ayathan, the one with the eyes bulging out his head, he says that the Messiah worshiped the heathen calendar. This is what he's saying. And so since he worshiped the heathen calendar, now we must follow the heathen calendar, because as long as you're in captivity, you got to follow the ways of the heathen. This is what he's saying. I know this about their doctrine about having one wife, which I went through that doctrine over and over again. The bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife. The reason why he was considered blameless, because he wouldn't be able to mess with different women. That's why it didn't say everybody be blameless. And then it would say the husband of one wife, and they will also talk about, when you go into the history, you would have the woman, you would have these men who mess with these different women. This is why he said had the husband of one wife. Those women were sleeping around. Those women were sleeping around and they didn't know it, some of them. There was a lot of adultery going on in church. So then Paul kind of brought that in there and said, hey, you must be, the only way you're going to be blameless of this, you have one wife. Now we know in the history, you wasn't blameful for having more than one wife. That's another video because I touched on that a while ago. But this is what the IUIC pushes, even though they got adultery going on in there now. But this is what they push, that we don't know the name of the Messiah, so we must still call on Jesus. I have no idea how we are now capable of calling on the true name. And if we had, let's say we lost the name, why would you continue to call on Christ? If I went away and told my sons, look, when I come back next year, I'm going to have a new name. So for now, when I talk to you, what do you call me? Whatever you want to call me? That doesn't make sense. And this is the philosophy, and I'm tying all this in because this particular group, they want to take everything, they want to keep you in captivity, but yet this man, Bishop Adonijah, as I call him, who come rolling in on a horse, right? He wants to be like the Messiah. Everybody has to follow him, worship him. He's in high status and high regard, but the Messiah, you can't worship him. You can't call on his true name. This is the hypocrisy. And this is why they're pushing that Yahushua, he followed the doctrine of devils. Right? That's what they're saying. He followed the Julian calendar. Do we have to follow the Julian calendar? Or now the Gregorian calendar? Absolutely not. What would have stopped the Messiah from following the regular Sabbath calendar? What would have stopped them? Ain't nothing stopping us. Right? There's nothing stopping us from following the right calendar. There's nothing stopping us. And then he says it's all of Esau, but yet they got white Jesus following white Christianity, because that's what they are. They're nothing but black Christians, man. They claim they done away with white Jesus, but they still got the image of that demon, man. The association of that name, right, which was destructive to us. You don't have to follow Jesus. And then they do believe you can have more than one wife, but in captivity, them in HODC teach that, by the way. You can't have but more than one wife. This is crazy. So you can see this guy's making up his own laws. He said in Isaiah 4:1, yeah, that's going to happen, but that's only when we get out of captivity. And he made a doctrine out of that. And there's nowhere in the scriptures. When you go to the book of Exodus, the 1st or 2nd chapter, with Ramses, I believe, the Pharaoh, he put hell on the Israelites and they multiplied exceedingly. How did that happen with one wife in captivity? Somebody explain that. So you can see that these guys are hustlers. They made money. They took the bag, and that's exactly just what it is. Right? That's all it is, man. So I just wanted to touch back on this a little bit. We can see here, right, the new moon, which this is the problem, they don't accept the new moon being dark. Okay, so if the lights start coming in, then why don't they say the waxing crescent? Which we're not trying to make another doctrine out of that, right? Everything starts from a beginning. In the beginning is nothing until it comes in new. I mean, it's crazy. Let me get a comment real quick that someone left real quick. This is by Romeo and Rhyme, something like that. Roman Rhyme. Anyway, he quoted a couple of scriptures: Genesis 1:14, Sirach 43:6-8, 2nd Ezra 6. I actually looked at a couple of them, but I'm assuming here on Sirach 43. And of course, Elder Manat Dazatbar, GMS South Carolina 8. This guy quoted Genesis 1:14. He said, "You cut yourself." So, I'm gonna go here to Sirach. What he brought out, it says, "The moon stands at its proper time." This is Sirach 43:6-8, 3:8. The moon stands at its proper time, a notification of times, This is explaining how the moon phases actually work and what it's actually supposed to be used for according to how we follow it, right? It says an everlasting sign, all right? And you had our people who actually worshipped the moon and the sun along with the other heathens, right? It said, now here's the tricky part. It says the sign for the feast comes from the moon, right? We never said it didn't. Well, when you follow the Sabbaths, right? When you follow the holy days, right? I guess these guys follow it when the moon is bright and full, I guess, but it's still sundown. I don't know. I guess that's what they still do. My whole point is when these observances come in, it comes in from the dark, right, into the fullness. And like I said earlier, they celebrate everything sundown to sundown, right? The Sabbath sundown to sundown. So we know sundown. So you should know when it starts, it's going to start in dark. This is why it's dark anyway. It's not, the sun is not out. So it says, this is what it says, the sign of the feast comes from the moon, right? Which is true. We never said it didn't. Then it says a luminous body that wanes. We never said it wasn't a luminous body that didn't wane. Wane mean decrease. It's talking about the cycles. This is why it's got a comma after moon. The luminous body that wanes. And then it says when it completes its course. Then it goes on to say the new moon shares the character of its name. So and this is why it says that, because it goes to the characterization of how it starts and how it wanes, how it comes in and how it goes out. This is all this is explaining. This is not saying that the full moon is the new moon. This is not saying that. It's giving you the characteristics of the feast days and how it comes in and how the moon comes up and reaches its course and how the moon goes down, right? So we know when we're halfway through, we know we're at the end, and we know when the new one's coming in. It's just that simple. But these guys want to make a doctrine. That's the mindset of these jakes. That's all I have on that. Shalom.